Well, how about it? You ready to go deep today? Well, let's hope that's a yes, because we're delivering the depth today. Lesson 241. This is where we've arrived here in the workbook for students. This holy instant is salvation come. This holy instant is salvation come. In other words, it's come, it's here right now. When else? Yeah. So we're looking at this lesson and the next 9 lessons, in fact, lesson 241 through lesson 250, through the eyes of the overarching question, what is the world? And in the previous video, we spent some time on just that question. And well, it's a mistake. Quite honestly, it's a mistaken perception based on our desire, however it was formulated, to be separate from God. And the world is what we see as a result of that. It's a place where we're supposedly separate. And in fact, everything it shows us attests to this separation, does it not? Separate bodies, separate nation states, separate genders, everyone appearing to struggle. And well, we use the phrase, the struggle is real. Actually, it's not real, but it appears real to us, doesn't it? That's the world. It appears concrete. It appears to be governed exclusively, right, by Newtonian physics. Yeah, by our biology textbooks and by our conditioning. No matter what society you grew up in or where you live in the world now, we've all been conditioned to swallow this and accept this as our reality. And there comes a point in our lives where we begin to question that. It could be early on for some of us, but for most of us, it's, well, middle age, to be honest, right? And here we are questioning it. And how do we find answers to our questions? Well, we continue to ask the questions, don't we? But we continue to ask the questions, and we discover that the world keeps giving us the same answer in different forms, definitely in different forms, in various different forms, yet the ultimate joy, the peace of God, continues to elude us if we ask the world for answers. We must ask a teacher who is outside of the illusion. Now, in A Course in Miracles, that teacher is the Holy Spirit, or one could adopt Jesus as well as that teacher. Now, in other spiritual traditions, you may have other teachers, other guides. But we, in order to find answers, ask from someone who knows. Because we're admitting to ourselves that of ourselves, we can do nothing. Truly, of ourselves, relying on our own ego, on our own small sense of self with a lowercase s, we don't know which ends up and which ends down. And we don't know our ass from a hole in the ground, millions and millions of different ways of saying it, right? We're confused, so we ask for help. That's the summary of it. And the holy instant is an idea that A Course in Miracles spends a lot of time on. It's a glimpse, an experience of what is, beyond all of our drama in the world, beyond illusion. It's a glimpse of who you are, who we all are. And one single instant is enough to remind us and enough to propel us to extend that. It's enough to propel us to wake up. It provides the fuel. Who knows when the holy instant is going to arise. Because in truth, and we've seen this in past lessons, the separation never occurred. We never really did make a decision to separate from God. We think we did. So to ask within the framework of linear time, when did we do this, is a futile question, absolutely futile. We'll never get the answer to that because it's completely beyond the pale of our rational, so-called, right, rational, logical thinking minds. In truth, separation from God is impossible. God is. Which, as we've seen, implies that only God is. Separation is impossible. We never did separate. Now, in time, it appears that way to us when we identify as a separately existing lowercase s self. Reality itself is different. It's far different from that. The holy instant is getting a glimpse of that. And that may be today for you. You may have had some of these experiences already. And if you have, then you can attest to the beauty. You can attest to the love, the power of yourself, capital S. All right. Now, in the context of what is the world, we're not asked, which I hope comes as a huge relief to you, we're not asked to change the world. People talk about, oh, I want to change the world, or I want to save the world. And it's held in many cultures as an aspiration. I mean, if you were alive in the 1960s, then obviously that was a catchphrase, right? I want to save the world. I want to change the world, right? Well, someone that says that they would like to change the world most likely has their heart in the right place, right? It's aspirational. And it can even be inspiring, depending on where you're coming from, right? It can even be an inspiration to others to want to change the world. However, from the standpoint of ultimate truth, which is where A Course in Miracles is coming from, we're not asked to change the world. The world is an illusion. We're asked instead to change our minds about the world. And if you're interested, this is from chapter 21 of the text of A Course in Miracles. We're not asked to change the world, but we're asked to change our mind about it. It's quite a difference, isn't it? We're asked to change our mind about what this world is for. And we see in practice that it delivers on a shiny silver platter all of the opportunities for forgiveness and awakening that we could ever want, and then some. Constantly. Our task is to be alert and aware to that so we can take full advantage of the opportunity. The opportunity to do what? Well, the opportunity to forgive. The opportunity to see the world differently, to change our minds about it. what it is, and what it's for. And when we're lost, running around, dazed and confused, we take the world to be real, right? Solid, concrete, reality, our plight. Honestly, it's entirely possible in this mindset to see the world as as hell, as a place where we're suffering and we can't get out. Yes, but we can get out. We've made it. We can unmake it. This is one of the ways that you can approach changing your mind about the world. What is it? Well, actually, it's an illusion. What is it for? Well, what it's for is for you to awaken. It's for me to awaken. It's for each and every one of us to awaken to the truth of who we really are. And how do we do this? Well, we ask a teacher, ask a guide or guides that know the answer to the question, who am I, right? That know the answer to the question, what is the world for? And we have these experiences. The holy instant is one such experience. And if you haven't had something that you recognize as that yet, don't worry about it. It's inevitable for each and every one of us. But all we can do is show up right now and choose love. All we can do is show up and reach for our light. All we can do right now is show up and choose God, choose the strength of Christ instead of the ego, instead of our limitations, instead of fear, instead of all of our blockages that we so conveniently use to define ourselves. That list can be really long, can't it, right? I mean, maybe your list is really lengthy, and maybe you've trimmed some items off of that along the way, which is great. We can leave all of this to the side. That is the path. That is the journey. This is where we are. So as we forgive, we change our minds about the world. As we forgive, we realize that in fact we are, each and every one of us is a miracle worker. That's gotta feel good, right? All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in, as always, and we'll continue on here in the workbook. So keep working on that forgiveness. Every chance you get, every opportunity that you remember to do it, do it. You'll be happy you did. See you next time.